Ever since a fairly early age in my life, I always believed in the value of dialogue to address problems and settle disputes in preference to confrontation and violence. Key ideas which inspired the setting up of CPD originated in the return to parliamentary democracy at the beginning of the 1990s. The belief that this democracy, if it was to be sustained, needed to actively draw in civil society, both to contribute to the policy-making process, as also to hold the state accountable for its acts of omission and commission. This idea was further given substance through my experience in the caretaker government, where I came across and I brought together a broad group of the leading professionals of Bangladesh to prepare 29 task force reports addressing problems and policy options for dealing with these issues facing the country. Experience was so positive that I felt that these ideas should be given further exposure through establishing an institution.
CPD has played a pioneering role inculcating the culture of dialogues in Bangladesh. In fact, in the early 90s, there were only a handful of organizations which would organize such dialogues involving all stakeholders. But now we see every other day there would be at least 10 dialogues organized by many organizations.
CPD is a value-based organization. So whenever it designs any program, as well as its output and activities, it's designed through those programs, is actually always keep in mind its mission and vision. And CPD's mission is to contribute to develop an inclusive society in Bangladesh, keeping in mind the four principal issues, that is equity, justice, good governance, and fairness.
One of the important objectives of CPD's research is to make concrete policy recommendations for the government to consider. For example, an important area of CPD's activities include macroeconomic policy analysis under CPD's flagship program called Independent Review of Bangladesh's Development, or IRBD. And under IRBD, CPD conducts research on issues such as fiscal policy, taxation, revenue mobilization, public finance management, monetary policy, banking sector, broader financial sector, capital market, and so on. And we have made several recommendations over the years. Many of those recommendations have been reflected in government policies.
At present, CPD is doing its research activities under its 5-year-long strategic pathway for 2021 to 2025. And under this, CPD is actually focusing on the key 6 milestones for the country, which are the Bangladesh's LDC graduation by 2026, its middle-income country status to upper middle-income country by 2031, then the climate change-related vulnerabilities, addressing the concerns of the civil society, and ensuring the good governance.
CPD was the host institution for the South Asia Center for Policy Studies, in the context of which we have done some of the pioneering works to deepen regional cooperation with countries in South Asia. CPD was involved in a series of dialogues which were organized in Dhaka and New Delhi, where bilateral relationship areas with India were discussed, and many of the solutions that were subsequently found out were proposed in these dialogues.
CPD's primary research and advocacy is on economic policies, but it is always done from the perspective of the interaction between politics and economy. This political economy approach is a particular contribution of the thinking of CPD's founder chairman, Professor Rehman Subhan, who has been pursuing this approach throughout his whole life.
CPD has also worked very closely with the Minister of Commerce in the context of WTO, where Bangladesh's position with respect to many of the areas of negotiations in WTO were discussed, and CPD proposed many recommendations which were subsequently taken up by the government as well.
CPD has established a strong working relationship with the Bangladesh media, both print and electronic, in which they engaged with us in projecting the outcome of our dialogues to a much broader constituency across the country.
CPD's institutional strength has grown over the years. It has its governance mechanism at various levels. The Board of Trustees, the Executive Committee, the Audit Committee, they provide guidance to CPD management. And the management consists of representatives of its various divisions: research, dialogue, finance, and admin. So there is a check and balance, and the decision-making process is a collective one at CPD.
Holding the public representatives and the duty bearers accountable for their performance had been a strong tradition of CPD. To take this tradition forward, we initiated the review of the electoral promises and particularly undertaking midterm review of the performance of the government in 2001 and then in 2003. But thereafter we felt that just reviewing other people's agenda is not good enough. So in 2005-06, we initiated what we call the creating a development agenda for accountable development through a participatory process. That led us to the drafting of the Vision 2021 document. As we all know that this document, even the nomenclature Vision 2021 was later adopted by the major political party in the country.
CPD is the pioneering organization that got public recognition that citizens of Bangladesh should have a voice in deciding public policies. And citizens' voice needs to be strengthened and made much more cohesive.
Even though the political actors own the agenda, but it does not necessarily mean they really meant it or they are going to implement them. And that is when the next realization came to us, that we have to not only ensure the supply side part of it, but we will have to ensure the demand side of it, that the voice part of it, the noise part of it. It is that time we set up the Citizens Platform, and SDG came in very handy because it gave us another opportunity to earmark the performance of the government against the global commitments.
CPD's journey during the past decades has never been a smooth one, particularly when CPD scrutinizes public policies and also in a shrinking space where the independent voice is restricted. However, CPD's journey has also been a rewarding one. During our journey, we have found moral support from our well-wishers and partners, who include policymakers, many government officials, political leaders, civil society organizations, non-government organizations, youth group, women, media, development partners, and many more. And these partners are our strength.
I would have hoped that this culture of promoting constructive dialogue would have further contributed to creating a culture of public reasoning within the political process itself. And the issue of constructively addressing problems, not just at CPD dialogues, but within Parliament, would have helped to establish a more credible working democratic process.